towers, massively outdated technology issues, as you've, I'm sure, read about in the region. And of course, at Newark Airport in the towers. And two, we have a massive FAA worker shortage issue, and I'll get to both of those in a minute. Our air traffic controllers are the best in the world and doing everything they can, but they have very outdated resources. Even Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy admitted that the system for managing air traffic at Newark is, quote, incredibly old, relying on floppy disks, paper, and copper wires instead of more modern fiber wires. He called the system at Newark Airport frail. That's totally unacceptable in the greatest country in the world. On April 28th, one of the copper wires in the tower at Newark fried and wiped out all communications between controllers and planes for 90 seconds, causing 5 employees to go on trauma leave, further worsening delays and cancellations. Could you imagine not being able to communicate at all with the airplanes above, whether it's on radar or on communication, for 90 seconds? Just imagine the stress, knowing all those lives are in your hands as all radar and communications go out for a minute and a half. Totally unacceptable. And modernizing the system, as we know, can take up to years to get done. So this problem on the technology will not go away overnight, but we must immediately surge our investment and fix the technology issues at Newark Airport and our airports around the country. We cannot wait a day longer to get to work to fix the technology issues at Newark Airport. These are issues many of us, including me and others at Port Authority, have raised for years with the FAA about the technology there. And I've been in the tower at Newark Airport. I've seen how antiquated the systems are there. And these are things that the workers there, the air traffic controllers, for years have been demanding fixes and upgrades to, right? When you literally can't have Wi-Fi because you have old copper wire, right? In the year 2025, how is that acceptable? It's not. I've been on this issue for years, as have many, working with my colleagues for years. Not long ago, I visited Newark Airport's air traffic tower, as I said, and you see what's going on, that people are overworked because we don't have enough air traffic controllers around the country, and especially at Newark Airport in the region there that oversees Newark Airport. Right? So they are overworked. They're working multiple shifts. Many are working 6 days a week, right? Because we're understaffed. We're understaffed by about 40 air traffic controllers. That's unacceptable. Controllers, as you probably know, have to retire by the age of 56, and it can take up to 4 years to replace them, a minimum of 2.5 years to train. We're hemorrhaging experienced staff right now because the harder they work short-staffed, the more stress they face, the more issues they face, right? And the earlier they're facing those issues. Nationwide, FAA staffing is at its lowest point in nearly 30 years. More than 90% of our nation's air traffic control facilities operating below the FAA's recommended staffing levels. 73 facilities are missing a quarter of their workforce. Our region, where 20% of the nation's GDP runs through, and I'll say it over and over again, talk about just how important of an artery for our country Newark Airport is, right? It's not only critical to our economy, right, but it's critical to air traffic control around air traffic around the United States. We must keep our aviation workers on the job and reassure hardworking families that we're doing everything we can to prevent these delays. From January through April, the National Transportation Safety Board has investigated 250 aviation accidents. There's been at least 143 aviation-related deaths this year. In January, we lost 67 souls, as many of you know, not far from here, in a tragic crash over the Potomac River. The first major airline crash in 16 years. A few weeks ago, a sightseeing helicopter crashed in the Hudson, tragically killing all 6. While air travel remains the safest form of travel in the country, and I do want to emphasize that, it remains the safest form of travel in the country, these incidents show firsthand why people are concerned when they read about all these delays or staffing shortages or technology issues. We've got to do better. We must do better. And I'm calling on the FAA to do better now. There are urgent steps that we must take. Things we've been calling on for years, I've been calling on for years, and we cannot afford to delay any longer. I talk to air traffic controllers. I know the stress they're under, how short-staffed they are. And it's why right now, United Airlines and others are canceling flights in Newark Airport, drastically reducing schedules. And again, you had the CEO of United saying that he recommends looking elsewhere. Well, that's not the solution, to look elsewhere. The solution is to fix the problem and do everything we can at the FAA to fix the problem. Last year, nearly 146 million air passengers flew in and out of New York and New Jersey metro area, a new record. In February, the Trump administration, for some reason, and I still don't get this, announced that they were gutting the FAA and firing 400 workers, just adding to the staffing shortage. Again, if you didn't hear that, clearly, Trump administration announced cuts of 400 staff, FAA staff, earlier this year. Not only did I immediately urge them to reverse course, but I think we all should demand that they reverse course. I'm pushing for new action to protect our air traffic controllers, fight delays, and ensure safety in our skies. First, I'm demanding that the Trump administration add more air traffic controllers to cover Newark Airport immediately to help reduce shortages. Again, I'm demanding that the Trump administration immediately add more air traffic controllers to cover Newark Airport. And of course, pay all the workers accordingly, whether that's overtime, bonuses, whatever it takes. We should look at the full staffing map around the country and immediately move air traffic controllers to cover Newark Airport so that we can get back up to staffing levels. As I mentioned before, we are about 40 short right now. That's unacceptable. People are working overtime, 6 days a week. And of course, you have some who had to leave after that crisis where there was a 90-second delay last week where they had zero communication with the skies above. Delays at Newark don't just hit Jersey families and our economy. They're a gut punch to our entire country, causing more delays in other cities, including Los Angeles, Atlanta, Chicago, Miami, and Dallas. With everyone depending on Newark, we need to address delays before they get any worse. And I've been regularly in touch with the FAA. We've reached out and spoken to Port Authority. These are issues that we know have to be addressed now. I'm also calling on the administration to immediately provide emergency funding to upgrade the outdated infrastructure at control centers, which caused a communications failure last week. Those are the towers. And on a good day, air traffic controllers are under immense pressure to do a lot with the little they're given. When the slightest error can be deadly, we must work together to help save lives and make sure that we're vigilant every second that the air traffic controllers are in the tower. That means they have to have the best technology. You can't have outdated copper wires in our towers right now, given the massive amount of traffic. I've been up there, as I mentioned. They're literally handing pieces of paper to each other. That's ridiculous. It's why years ago, many of us demanded that they upgrade the technology in the towers. It just makes sense, right? It's about as common sense as it gets to upgrade these towers with the latest technology so they can communicate. So I'm, again, calling the administration to immediately provide emergency funding to upgrade the outdated infrastructure in our towers. Second, I'm calling for the Port Authority to conduct a review of the technical wiring and infrastructure for air traffic control, especially the towers at Newark. So the Port Authority should immediately look at it, as I know they have in the past, and put together an exact report of what they believe they need to get all of our towers and to get Newark Airport up to the level it needs to be. Tell me what you need so we can work immediately to get it for you. Again, I've been in touch with them regularly. I want to thank Port Authority for their work on this issue, especially in light of the challenges they're facing. So tell me what you need so we can get to work on it. I've also called the CEO of United Airlines to ask him what he needs to get Newark, one of our key economic arteries of New Jersey, moving at full capacity again. I don't want anyone going to any other airport. It's Jersey. Everyone should come to our airport. Everyone should go to Newark and fly from there. It's a great airport with great workers, great teams of people. We want to make sure people come there, right? So we got to get the technology and the staffing to level where it needs to be without delay. As for the delays, I'm asking United to get better ahead of cancellations and flight changes, to give people more notice and complete flexibility on rebookings and refunds until this problem is solved. This should not be passed along to folks who are trying to fly and deal with this. Right now, I've heard from a lot of people who call and say they're finding out too late on their way to the airport, or just when they're sitting in the airport, that their flights are either canceled or massively delayed by hours, right? And it's either sitting by the gate or sometimes sitting on the tarmac and their flights get canceled. I've also asked the House Appropriations Committee to immediately put emergency resources into fixing both the technology and staffing issues. This is nothing that we can delay, given how important this is to air traffic in our country and to our economy in the country. Earlier this year, I introduced my Don't Cut FAA Workers Act, which prohibits major staff cuts at the FAA if a fatal crash has occurred in U.S. airspace within 1 year. Last Congress, I helped pass the FAA Reauthorization Act, requiring the FAA to deploy critical safety technology at airports across the country to help prevent, quote, close calls in the air or on the runways. The bipartisan infrastructure bill, which I helped craft and pass into law, includes $53 million for Jersey's airports, including more than $42 million for Newark Airport to help improve our infrastructure, upgrade our terminals, and enhance runway safety. And my ETA Act requires U.S. airlines to promptly issue cash or credit card refunds, not just vouchers, to passengers when their flights are canceled or significantly changed. The bottom line is that this is not a partisan issue. It's a matter of public safety. It's a matter of our economy. It's a matter of just fixing a system that needs fixing, and to do so without delay. Let's get more air traffic controllers to Newark immediately, to that area that oversees Newark, to get our flights moving again, to stop these delays, to make sure those in the tower feel comfortable with the technology they have and the systems they have. We've got to upgrade our technology immediately. No more delays. We should begin immediately, especially at Newark Airport. Again, one of the best airports in the country, and also, of course, a key artery to our nation's economy. I know if we work together, there's nothing that can stop us from getting things done. So let's do it. In the greatest country in the world, our best days will be ahead if we do. Thanks, and I'll take a few questions.